in this chapter, we saw the bloody riots or revolts between East India Company and the Santal tribes. So you can see colonial rules over the Bengal Rajmahal Hills. And after they ruled over these countrysides, what were the impact on the people and how their life changed under East India Company, we have discussed in the previous video. So now let us move across to Western India, okay, and to a later period and explore what was happening in the countryside of the Bombay Deccan. So if we want to see what changes took place, we need to focus on the peasants' revolt in Deccan. So in this revolt, peasants or people, they expressed their anger and fury. Okay, they raised their voice against the injustice and the cause of their suffering or pain. If we come to know about the fundaments that lying behind the resentment or the problems and peeling their layer of their angers, so then we come to experience through revolts. Okay, otherwise it would be hidden. So agitated by the rebels, the authority not only suppressed the revolt, but they learned to pay the reason behind the revolt. So they inquiry a committee so that they would formulate the policy and establish peace. So these inquiries produce evidence that historian can explore or study. Peasants in various parts of India revolted against the company, the moneylenders, the grain dealers. One such incident that took place in 1875 in the Deccan. Okay, so the movement here that began in Supa, that is the present Pune districts of Maharashtra, where many shopkeepers and many lenders live. So you can see on 12th May 1875, riots from surrounding rural area, they gathered in one place and attacked the shopkeeper, demand their bahi khata and debt bond. They burned the khatas, looted the grain shop, and in some cases they set fire to the houses of sahukars. From Pune, the revolt spread Ahmednagar. For the next 2 months, the war spread over 6,500 square kilometer area. More than 30 villages were affected. Everywhere, the nature of the revolt was the same. So they attacked sahukars, and the account books were burned, and debt bonds were destroyed. Terrified by the peasant attack, Sahukar fled away from the village. In some cases, they left their property behind. As the revolt spread, the terrifying incidents of 1857. Okay, the revolt of 1857 that came in front of the Britishers. Police posts were established so that in that rebellious place so that they could surrender. Troops were called to control the revolt. 95 people were arrested and many were punished. But it took several months to control the revolts and bring the countryside under control. So Deccan Raids commissions take the reports as you can see in your source 6 in your book. So on that day in Supa, the district magistrate, as you can see here, he wrote a letter to the police commissioners. So on their arrival at Supa on Saturday 15th May, I come to know about the disturbance of the revolt. So you can see house of a moneylenders. So one such disturbances was that house of a moneylenders were burned down, and dozens were forcibly broken into and completely burned their content. Account papers, bonds, grains. Okay, they were what? Country clothes were burnt in the street where heaps of ashes are still to be seen. The chief constable arrested 50 persons. They stolen to property worth 2,000 was recovered. The estimated loss is over 25,000 at the time. Many, you can see these moneylenders, they claim it is over 1 lakh. So now we come from the eastern part of India to the western part of India, where we are talking about Deccan, Maharashtra, in Bombay. Okay, so what we saw that we took an example of a place called Supa. Okay, where there was a revolt against the moneylenders, the sahukar. They attacked the shopkeeper. They demand the bahi khata. They burn the bahi khata, the debt bond, and they forced the sahukars to fled away from the villages. So as the revolt that spread over the time, so why the burning of bonds and deeds? why the revolts? Why this revolt took place? What does it tell us about the Deccan countryside and about agrarian change under colonial rules? Okay, so here we see that why that here we saw that why this revolt took place. So you can see that a new revenue system. So as British rule expanded, that we see expansion of British empire, Hana, from Bengal to the other part of India, new system of revenue was also imposed. The permanent settlement was rarely extended to any region. As far as the permanent settlement is considered, okay, it is extended to any rarely it is extended any region outside the Bengal. So we discussed earlier also that what was the permanent settlement. So the landlord or jamidar was recognized as the owner of the land. The jamidar proprietorships, okay, would stay as long as he paid the fixed revenue at the set date, at the particular date, to the government. If he failed to pay, the right would be ceased to exist, and later you can find the land would be auctioned off. So the amount to be paid by the landlord was fixed. It was agreed that this would not increase in future in the permanent settlement. So in 1810, what we saw, agricultural price rose. Okay, the price of the produce, it also increased. So now the jamidar start gaining profit from the produce, so enlarging the income of the jamidar. Since the revenue was fixed by the British under permanent settlement, the colonial state could not claim any profit from the income. Okay, so Keynes, on expanding his financial income, now the colonial government had to think the way to maximize its land revenue. So in territories annexed by the Britishers, okay, temporary revenue settlements were made. So there were other reasons too. So when in India, the British official, they derived this land revenue policy. Their thinking was deeply shaped by the renowned economist David Ricardo. Okay, by the 1820, the economist David Ricardo was a figure in England. So colonial official had run Ricardian theory during the college years. So what, according to the Ricardo, that landlord is the owner of the land. He gave land to the tenants, so he can claim, okay, as it is given according to record, he can claim the average rent coming out from the land. Okay, so when the land yielded more than the average rent, it means the surplus production, then it needed to be taxed. So if the tax was not imposed to the cultivator, you can see it likely turn into renters. The surplus income was not to be invested, okay, in the improvement of the land. So there was a need to impose taxes. Okay, so the British officials of India thought that the history of Bengal confirmed Ricardo theory. There were this, you can see the jamidars seem to have turned into renters. Okay, they are leasing out land into living on rental incomes. It was necessary for the British to have a new revenue system that was different from permanent settlement. Okay, so the revenue system, you can see, that was introduced in the Bombay Deccan came to be known as the Rayatwadi settlement. So unlike the Bengal system, the revenue was directly taken by the Rayat or the Rayat. So the average income from different type of soils was estimated as far as the quality of soil is concerned. So you can see the revenue paying capacity of Rayat was also assessed, and then a proportion of is fixed, okay, as the shares of the state. Then here the land was resurveyed every 30 years and the revenue rate increased. Therefore, the revenue, you can find here, demand was no longer permanent, okay, as in the permanent settlement in Bengal. So the next point here is topic revenue demand and the peasant debt. So after the establishment of new revenue system, we read about the Rayatwadi system. What were the impact on the farmer or the peasants? So the first revenue settlement in the Bombay Deccan was made in the year 1820. So you can see the revenue that was demanded was so high that in many places peasants left their village and migrated to new places. So in area, if we talk about the revenue, it was unreasonably very high. So peasant found impossible, when we talk about um, impossible to pay the revenue. So the area of pure soils and you can see irregular rainfall. The problem was very acute when there is no rainfall and harvest were poor. Peasant found it impossible to pay the revenue. So here you see the how this collector in whoever collect the revenue were keen on showing their efficiency, capability, that how much they are capable, and pleasing the superior, the British authority. The step taken by them to collect the revenue was very severe. Okay, when someone failed to pay the taxes, his crops were seized and a fine was imposed on whole village. So by the 1830s, problems became more severe. Prices of agricultural produce fell sharply after 1832 and did not recover over a decade and a half. This means a further decline in peasants' income. At the same time, the countryside was devastated by a famine. Okay, the strike in the year 1832 to 1834. So one third of the cattle were died, okay, in the Deccan, and half of the human also died. Those who survived has no agricultural stocks, okay. There was a food scarcity, so, and the unpaid balance of revenue was mounting, okay, high. So you can see then comes how did the cultivators they will live through such years, okay. How did they pay the revenue, and how if we talk about how did they procure the consumption needs when there is no production and hoardings of foods? They will purchase their plough and cattle or to get their children married. So here comes that they borrowed money from moneylenders. They took money from moneylenders and pay the revenue to the Britisher. But once the loan was taken, the riot or the found it difficult to pay. So the condition was that the debt was increasing, okay, and the loan it remained unpaid. Okay, here you can see. So peasants that their dependency, okay, on money lender that was increasing. So they now needed loan even to buy their everyday needs and to meet their production expenditure. So by the 1840, officials were finding evidences of alarming level, okay, of peasant that were indebtedness everywhere. To come out from the alarming situation, there was a sign of economic recovery for a short period of time. So now the British official they realized that the economic policy of that revenue was very harsh. The revenue demand was unreasonably high. This permanent system was rigid. Okay, of that collecting the this revenue from rayat or riots was very rigid. So if we talk the peasant economy were on the verge of the collapse. So now the revenue demand was moderated. Moderate in the sense that they reduced the revenue so that they could encourage the peasant to expand their agriculture, okay, expand their cultivation. So after 1845, agriculture prices recovered steadily. Cultivator now started extending the cultivable land, moving into new areas and transforming the pasture land into cultivable land. But to extend the cultivation, the peasant needs more plough and cattle. They needed money to buy seeds and lands. For all they had to turn once again to the moneylenders. Okay, then came the cotton booms, which we will cover in our next videos.